Remember those hilarious scenes where the clumsy George Roper would drive his wife Mildred up the wall in Man About the House? But behind the laughter and sitcom charm were the haunting, real-life stories of its cast. From Youtha Joyce's heartbreaking struggle with addiction to Sally Thompson's devastating personal losses, each actor carried private tragedies that ended in sorrow. In this video, we'll explore their real names and the harrowing truths behind their most iconic roles. What happened to them off-screen might just shock you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's begin. Youtha Joyce as Mildred Roper. Youtha Joyce, born August 20th, 1927, played the sharp-tongued Mildred Roper, the wife who constantly battled her husband George's foolish antics in Man About the House. At 46, she brought Mildred to life with uncanny realism, echoing the frustrations of many women in 1970s Britain. The role catapulted Youtha to stardom, especially after On the House, 1961, and the spin-off George and Mildred, 1976 to 1979. But the spotlight masked a painful private life. Her first marriage to actor Alan Price in 1966 ended within a few years. A second attempt at love also crumbled, leaving her engulfed in loneliness. To numb the pain, Youtha turned to alcohol, a temporary escape that slowly destroyed her body. Her addiction became inseparable from her daily life, leading to severe liver damage. Depression deepened her isolation, and in her final years, she withdrew completely from the stage that once adored her. Close friends later revealed that Youtha drank heavily to forget her emotional wounds, but the toll it took on her health was irreparable. Her sudden death on August 24, 1980, at age 53, stunned the British entertainment world. She passed away in a London hospital, just days after being admitted with end-stage liver disease. Doug Fisher as Larry Simmons. Doug Fisher, born September 20, 1941, brought to life the mischievous yet lovable Larry Simmons, Robin's best mate whose antics often bordered on chaos, but always with a human touch. When filming began in 1973, Doug was 32 years old. His natural charm turned Larry into an essential part of the series. The role marked the peak of Doug's acting career, following supporting parts in The Naked Civil Servant, 1975, and Yes, Minister, 1980 to 1984. Yet once the stage lights dimmed, Doug's life took a dark turn. As acting offers dried up, he faced increasing financial difficulties. His marriage, kept largely out of the public eye, ended in heartbreak, leaving deep emotional scars. He spiraled into depression and lived in growing solitude, unable to regain his former fame. Years of psychological strain and unhealthy habits weakened his heart, and he began suffering from severe hypertension. On July 9, 2000, Doug died suddenly from a heart attack at the age of 58. His unexpected passing shocked fans and left behind the memory of an actor whose talent once promised so much. Michael Seagull as Jim the barman. Michael Seagull, born March 14, 1924, portrayed Jim, the gruff yet good-hearted pub owner caught up in the chaos of the younger characters in Man About the House. By the time he joined in 1973, he was 49, and his dry humor and subtle performance turned Jim into a fan favorite. It was a major turning point in Michael's career, following smaller roles in The Saint, 1962, and Dixon of Dock Green, 1955 to 1976. But off-camera, Michael was grappling with unimaginable personal tragedy. His marriage to actress Margaret Dawson collapsed in the 1970s, leaving him emotionally wounded. His deepest sorrow came when his only child was killed in a car accident in the late 1970s. The trauma devastated him, pushing him into deep depression and robbing him of his passion for acting. He began to retreat from the public eye, turning down most casting offers. Slowly, his once promising career faded away. The psychological toll took a serious toll on his physical health, and Michael began suffering from heart issues. He passed away in 1996 at the age of 72 in a London hospital. His death marked a somber end to the story of an actor who had once lit up the screen with quiet brilliance. Bella Emberg as the traffic warden. Bella Emberg, born September 16, 1937, made a charming cameo as a traffic warden in a 1974 episode of Man About the House. At 37, she delighted audiences with her effortless comic timing, a talent she had long demonstrated in The Benny Hill Show, 1969 to 1989, and Doctor Who, 1970. Behind the smiles, Bella's personal life was far more turbulent. Her marriage ended in the 1980s, leaving emotional wounds that never truly healed. To cope with her heartbreak, she turned to alcohol, something she kept hidden from the public but which slowly eroded her health. Her addiction became a constant presence, weakening her body and dimming her career. In a rare interview, Bella confessed that drinking was her way of coping with personal failures, but in truth, it only pulled her deeper into despair. As acting roles dried up, Bella spent her later years in increasing isolation, far from the limelight that once celebrated her. She passed away on January 12, 2018, at the age of 80, at her home in London. The cause was alcohol poisoning. Her death stands as a tragic reminder of how fragile even the brightest talents can be. Brian Murphy as George Roper. Brian Murphy, born September 25, 1932, brought endless laughter to viewers as George Roper, the bumbling husband who never failed to test Mildred's patience in Man About the House. He was 41 when he joined the cast in 1973, and his natural comic delivery made him one of Britain's most recognizable television faces, particularly in George and Mildred, 1976 to 1979, and Last of the Summer Wine, 2003 to 2010. But Brian's off-screen life was marked by deep personal challenges. His first marriage, to a woman whose identity was never made public, ended in the 1960s. He rarely saw the child from that union. His second marriage to actress Linda Regan, best known for High to High, 1980 to 1988, ended in the 1990s after disagreements over parenting and lifestyle differences. In a rare interview, Brian admitted regretting not spending enough time with his two children, calling their estrangement the greatest sorrow of his life. To dull the loneliness, he began drinking more heavily. Friends recalled seeing him regularly at pubs across London, trying to forget the regrets that haunted him. But alcohol took a toll, especially on his liver and heart. In 2005, Brian was hospitalized after a mild heart attack, believed to be the result of alcohol and the emotional strain of caring for Linda during her declining health. After that, he stepped back from acting, only taking on the occasional small role. As of 2025, at 92 years old, Brian lives quietly in a care home in Kent, England. He suffers from arthritis and worsening vision and rarely leaves his room, though he often chats with staff about the glory days when he made a nation laugh. Richard O'Sullivan as Robin Tripp. Richard O'Sullivan, born May 7, 1944, brought to life the charming, witty chef Robin Tripp, the heart of the comedy in Man About the House. When he joined the series in 1973, he was 29, and his vibrant, effortless performance made him one of the most beloved TV stars of the 1970s. The role marked the peak of Richard's career, leading to two successful spin-offs, Robin's Nest, 1977 to 1981, and Dick Turpin, 1979 to 1982, both featuring him in lead roles. But behind the glittering fame was a life marked by pain. His first marriage to actress Diana West, whom he met early in his career, ended in the late 1970s after bitter arguments over his grueling work schedule. His second marriage, to Christine Smart, who was not in show business, also collapsed in the early 1990s. Richard turned to alcohol to cope with the heartbreak, a habit that eventually became a dependency. Colleagues from Robin's Nest recalled that he often drank before arriving on set, using alcohol to mask the pressure of fame and private struggles. The habit took a toll on his health and his relationships, including with his son Jamie from his first marriage. By the early 2000s, Richard's career had faded, and he all but vanished from the public eye. He declined most interviews and lived in seclusion, partly due to shame over his declining health and personal failures. In 2003, he suffered a minor stroke, linked to years of stress and drinking, which nearly cost him his life. Though he recovered, he never returned to acting, choosing instead a quiet life in a small village in Surrey, England. As of 2025, at 81 years old, Richard faces age-related health issues, including high blood pressure and memory loss. He lives alone, occasionally visited by old friends, and surrounded by memories of a time when he was adored by millions. Roy Kinnear as Jerry. Roy Kinnear, born January 8, 1934, played Jerry, the lovable but clumsy builder who lit up a 1974 episode of Man About the House. At 40, his signature comedic style made Jerry instantly memorable. Already a star from That Was the Week That Was, 1962, and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, 1971, the role was a delightful addition to Roy's illustrious career. But behind the humor lay a troubled heart. The death of his father cast a long shadow over Roy, leading to chronic anxiety that affected him deeply. Though married to actress Carmel Cryan and father to 3 children, Roy struggled privately with balancing fame and family. According to those close to him, he was haunted by fears of inadequacy and the burden of expectation. In 1988, tragedy struck. While filming The Return of the Musketeers in Spain, Roy was thrown from a horse during a stunt, suffering a fractured pelvis and internal bleeding. Despite being rushed to the hospital, complications from the fall claimed his life on September 20th, 1988. He was 54. His sudden death shocked the industry and his loved ones, ending a vibrant career far too soon. The character of Jerry may have been lighthearted, but Roy's life was marked by pressure and pain he never fully escaped. Duncan Lamont as Dr. McLeod. Duncan Lamont, born June 17, 1918, portrayed Dr. McLeod, a stern but kind-hearted physician who brought a grounding presence to 2 episodes of Man About the House in 1973. At 55, his experience from roles in Quatermass and The Pit, 1958, and The Avengers, 1961 to 1969, added depth to the character. Yet Duncan's personal life was far less stable. 2 failed marriages, both shrouded in privacy, left lasting emotional scars. He spent his final years in solitude, estranged from family and friends. Former colleagues noted his distant demeanor, suggesting he was tormented by past failures. The weight of emotional turmoil began affecting his health, leading to heart problems. In 1978, Duncan died of a heart attack at the age of 60 in a London hospital. His passing came as a painful surprise to many who admired his craft. While his character offered wisdom and calm, Duncan's own life was a painful journey marked by emotional isolation. Glyn Edwards as Chrissy's dad. Glyn Edwards, born May 2, 1931, played Chrissy's father, a stern yet caring dad who brought warmth and gravitas to a 1975 episode of Man About the House. At 44, he was already a familiar face, especially thanks to his long-running role in Minder, 1979 to 1994, and brought seasoned depth to the part. His personal life, however, was riddled with heartbreak. He went through 2 divorces, first from actress Christine Pilgrim and later from co-star Youtha Joyce. The breakdowns left him emotionally distant from his 2 children. Friends said Glyn was deeply regretful over his inability to maintain close ties with his kids, and this loneliness haunted him throughout his later years. He lived quietly, battling stress-related health problems. Glynn passed away on May 23, 2018, at the age of 87, in his London home. His death marked the solemn end of an actor who once brought comfort and familiarity to millions, but who struggled silently with his own emotional burdens. Derek Seaton as the agent. Derek Seaton, born October 1, 1943, portrayed the charming and mysterious agent in a 1973 episode of Man About the House. At just 30, he brought an intriguing presence to the role, already known for appearances in The Avengers, 1968, and Z-Cars, 1962 to 1978. His marriage to fellow actress Paula Wilcox, who played Chrissy in the same series, collapsed in the late 1970s under the weight of career pressure and personal conflict. The separation left Derek emotionally strained and distant from his only son. His career, which had once shown promise, stalled, leaving him anxious and uncertain about the future. On September 2, 1979, Derek suffered a sudden brain hemorrhage and died at the age of 35 in a London hospital. His untimely death stunned the entertainment world, marking the tragic end of a talent that never had the chance to fully shine. Dennis Waterman as Franz Wasserman. Dennis Waterman, born February 24, 1948, played the mischievous and magnetic Franz Wasserman in a 1974 episode of Man About the House. Just 26 at the time, he charmed audiences with his charismatic performance, a quality he would later bring to iconic roles in The Sweeney, 1975 to 1978, and Minder, 1979 to 1994. Waterman's personal life was stormy. He went through 3 failed marriages, to Penny Dixon, Patricia Maynard, and Rula Lenska, marred by accusations of infidelity and domestic violence. His relationships with his children suffered as a result. Struggling with alcoholism, Dennis often turned to drink to cope with the media scrutiny and personal turmoil. Colleagues described how he would use alcohol to numb the pressure, only to sink further into isolation. In his later years, Dennis battled lung cancer, a fight he ultimately lost. He passed away on May 8, 2022, at the age of 74, at his home in Spain. His death marked the end of a brilliant but troubled career that had once made him a household name. Ian Lavender as Mark. Ian Lavender, born on February 16, 1946, portrayed the self-absorbed yet comically brilliant actor Mark in a 1974 episode of Man About the House. At just 28 years old, his sharp wit and impeccable timing made the character instantly memorable. By then, he was already a household name thanks to his beloved role as Private Pike in the classic sitcom Dad's Army, 1968 to 1977, and he would later return to the screen in EastEnders, 2001 to 2005, further solidifying his place in British television history. Lavender's personal life, however, carried its own quiet heartaches. His first marriage to actress Sue Curley ended during the 1980s and left him emotionally detached from his children, a wound that lingered for decades. As the 1990s unfolded, Ian's once flourishing career began to lose its momentum. The fading spotlight triggered a long battle with depression and an overwhelming sense of loneliness. Those who remained close to him said he often appeared burdened by a haunting belief that he had never truly matched the early success he had achieved in his youth. Ian passed away on February 2, 2024, at the age of 77, in a hospital in Suffolk, England. His passing was quiet and understated, marking the final chapter in the life of a once revered star, one whose brilliance had gradually faded, but who remained etched in the hearts of those who remembered him. Peter Jones as Mr. Morris. Peter Jones, born on June 12, 1920, took on the role of Mr. Morris, a quirky and endearing character who brought a distinctive touch of humor to a 1975 episode of Man About the House. At the age of 55, Jones drew upon decades of rich comedic experience from his standout roles in The Rag Trade, 1961 to 1963, and the long-running radio panel show Just a Minute, 1967 to 1999, delivering a performance that left a lasting impression. Behind the scenes, however, Peter's personal life was clouded by sadness and quiet turmoil. His first marriage ended in the 1960s, and his second marriage, to Lillian Jones, eventually collapsed under the weight of ongoing financial pressures. Over time, he became estranged from his children, which only deepened his isolation. Colleagues and collaborators who had worked closely with him often remarked on his increasingly somber demeanor, describing him as a man quietly haunted by a sense of personal disappointment and emotional withdrawal. Peter passed away on April 19, 2000, at the age of 79, in a hospital in London. His death marked a poignant and solemn close to the life of a performer once celebrated for his sharp wit, magnetic charm, and unmistakable presence on both stage and screen. Joe Kendall as Podge Randall. Joe Kendall, born on February 17, 1940, brought a gentle sense of humor and heartfelt warmth to the character of Podge Randall, a clumsy yet sincere woman who appeared in a 1974 episode of Man About the House. At the time, Jo was 34 years old and had already gained recognition for her performances in Emmerdale, 1972, and The Good Life, 1975 to 1978. Although the role of Podge was a small but memorable highlight, her acting career sadly never quite managed to regain its earlier momentum. She went through 2 failed marriages, one to an actor whose name was never made public, and the other to a man outside the entertainment industry. With no children to provide companionship and facing increasing financial difficulties, Jo battled with a profound and lingering sense of regret. Those who knew her well often remarked that she seemed overwhelmed by loneliness and the aching disappointment of a life that hadn't unfolded the way she had once hoped. During her later years, Jo gradually stepped away from the public eye. Her health steadily declined as a result of enduring, untreated depression, and she eventually passed away quietly on January 29, 2022, at the age of 81, in a care home located in London. Her passing marked a gentle and sorrowful conclusion to the life of a once bright talent whose light had long since dimmed. Paula Wilcox as Chrissy Plummer. Paula Wilcox, born December 13, 1949, played Chrissy Plummer, the clever, independent woman always ready with a sharp comeback in Man About the House. At just 24 when the show began in 1973, she won hearts with her vibrant performance. Already known from Coronation Street, 1969, she later starred in Emmerdale, 2000 to 2008, and Mount Pleasant, 2011 to 2017. Her first marriage to stage director John L. Sullivan ended in the 1980s after irreconcilable differences over their careers and personal lifestyles. Paula once admitted that balancing her acting career with personal life left her feeling suffocated, and the divorce left her deeply disillusioned. Her second marriage to businessman Derek Seaton, who also appeared in Man About the House as the agent, also ended in heartbreak, leaving her emotionally drained. She later faced depression, a struggle she spoke openly about in a 2010 interview, describing herself as lost after years of personal turmoil. In the late 1990s, Paula was hospitalized for exhaustion after overworking herself to avoid emotional pain, forcing her to take a break from acting for nearly a year. Though she returned to the screen with roles in Boomers, 2014 to 2016, and Upstart Crow, 2016 to 2018, she never fully recaptured her joy for performing. She now lives a quiet life, shunning most interviews and public appearances. As of 2025, at age 75, Paula resides in a small village in Yorkshire, England. Neighbors say she spends her days gardening and reading, rarely engaging in conversation, choosing solitude over the spotlight. Sally Tomset as Jo. Sally Tomset, born April 3, 1950, charmed audiences as Jo, the sweet, wide-eyed girl who brought warmth and light to Man About the House. When she joined in 1973, she was just 23, already known for her BAFTA-nominated role in The Railway Children, 1970, and her performance in Straw Dogs, 1971. Her first marriage to a man whose name was never made public ended in the 1970s, leaving her adrift and emotionally vulnerable. Her second marriage, to Danish businessman Klaus Heda Nielsen, whom she met at a charity event, also ended in the early 2000s after bitter disputes over finances and lifestyle. Childless and heartbroken, Sally fell into a long battle with depression. According to friends, she drank regularly to escape her sense of failure, and her addiction became a permanent fixture in her life, damaging her health and alienating her from close friends. Her career gradually faded, with few roles offered, and she disappeared from the public eye after a minor appearance in Wodehouse in Exile, 2013. As of 2025, at age 74, Sally lives a reclusive life in a small village in Sussex, England, in a modest home where she is occasionally visited by relatives. She now contends with chronic liver disease and arthritis, lingering effects of years of alcohol use and emotional strain. Which actor do you remember the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye.